Dave Meltzer is wrong about Trick Williams. Dave Meltzer on the Wrestling Observer made comments about Trick Williams being not that good. We used his quotes on itwrestling.com and have analyzed every line. Sentence number 1, Trick Williams isn't that good. That's the reality. No, Dave, the reality is that your opinion sucks. First of all, Trick Williams is in NXT, which is the WWE's developmental territory. So he is still, guess what? Developing. He gets better over time, and that is the best you can ask from someone who is still in development. Maybe Dave expects wrestlers to do 20 tope suicidas and 6,630 sentons as soon as they step between the ropes to satiate his flip fetish. The reality is that Trick Williams is already good enough. And when you are good enough and can combine that with charisma and a connection with the crowd, that's enough to make a career. Look at The Rock, Austin, Hogan, etc. All of these guys were good enough. Ask a person on the street who these guys are, and they can tell you. But ask them who the Young Bucks are, you'd get silence. Same goes for Kenny Omega, who I actually like. Trick Williams has the formula already to be a great wrestler. He's just green, which you're allowed to be when you're still in a developmental territory. Dave, your opinion sucks. Sentence number 2, he's got incredible charisma, but you put him in a main event match. And what happens, Dave? You have a decent match featuring a guy with great charisma. Charisma is what put butts into seats. It keeps arenas full, which your favorite guys can't seem to do despite being the EVPs. If the Young Bucks know so much, why don't they teach their own talent how to draw and make money and quit acting like children? But I'm getting ahead of myself. He has not even mentioned them yet. Sentence number 3. Granted, he did look really good against Ilia, but Ilia is one of those people that give you a false perception of the ability of the other person. So Trick Williams is not on the same level as Ilia. I get that, and I even agree with you. But the comparison is completely unfair. Trick is once again in a developmental program. Ilia is too, but he's also a top-tier wrestler in the entire world. If it were not for his size, he'd have the same success or better that Gunther has. Also, Trick beats him in the charisma department. Charisma factors into a match quality too. Look at Hogan versus The Rock at WrestleMania 17. The match itself was okay, but the excitement and hype was magnified immensely by the charisma and popularity of the two participants, plus a heavy dose of nostalgia. There are intangible aspects that make a match great aside from the technical aspects of the match itself. It's not always about how many flips and false finishes you have. Okay, this is where his opinion completely turns to shit. Sentence number 3. It's like wrestling Ric Flair or a tag team wrestling the Young Bucks. You always look better. What? What? The Young Bucks? You always look better? I can't think of a team that has looked better being in a match with the Young Bucks. If anything, being associated with their foolishness can only do nothing for your career or even bring it down by being stained with being associated with these two. And to mention them in the same breath as Ric Flair? My God. My God. Ric Flair, the Young Bucks, equally great in Meltzer's eyes. How do any of you take this guy seriously? Why is he even allowed to have a voice in wrestling anymore? You know, for Vince Russo to have anything published about what he has to say, the article title can't mention him anywhere by name. It has to say industry veteran comments on such and such. We are at the point where we need to start doing the same for Meltzer. As soon as we know it's his opinion, we should be prepared for a load of horseshit to come out of his mouth. I respect his journalism when it comes to reporting factual information, but his opinion pieces should not be given some weight. I mean, comparing the Young Bucks to Ric Flair. Ric Flair! Folks, it's not going to stop. Somebody needs to do something. Sentence number 4. You see all these tag teams against the Young Bucks and think these guys are great, but they're never great against anybody else. And Ilia is the same way. You remember back when you were in school and had arguments with other kids about whether your dad could beat up their dad? It was all based on the connection one had to one's father. Your dad's fighting ability was measured in how much you cared about your father, not on any kind of reality or substance. This is where Dave Meltzer is at with the Young Bucks. They're his friends, so they're better than everybody else. The only thing I've gotten from watching the Young Bucks is diarrhea. I cannot think of one match where I did not lose track of who the legal man was or wonder why everyone was not disqualified for completely ignoring the rules. So who are these tag teams that looked good against the Bucks but were completely incompetent when left to fend for themselves? Notice he does not name any names or any teams or matches right here. He makes a claim without any information to support it. I can't tell if he's just flat out wrong or if he's lying. Now take this quote as a whole and think about it. This guy is obsessed with the Young Bucks. He wakes up thinking about them. He dreams about them during the day. He goes to sleep at night thinking about them. Dude, they're not that good. And then to drag Trick Williams down, a rising star in the business? Tell me, how many wrestlers early in their career were able to get the fans to sing along to their music and it actually be good or root for them over more well-established stars? How can you not see Trick Williams' potential? What good does it do to try to tear down this guy early in his career and try to build up the Young Bucks in the same breath? Dave Meltzer, I cannot tell if you're just wrong or just being dishonest with us in an effort to tear down the WWE and build up your friends, but you need to stop. At the very least, you're making yourself look foolish and unprofessional. So for the benefit of all of us, just stop. And that's all I've got to say about Dave Meltzer this week. This is Glenn from Ring Chronicles. Please be sure to like and leave a comment. Leave a comment if you disagree and love the Young Bucks too. We want to hear from you. And be sure to check out our podcast. Thanks and be well. I'm angry.